Today, I want to talk about my journey as an artist, everything that took me from 2011 and 13, where I decided to quit a career in banking to become an artist, all the way to training myself to be an illustrator and concept artist, and realizing I wanted to quit for a different trajectory, a different route in my career around 2016, 17. And everything that I learned from that got me to the point in 2019 that I changed career once again into the game industry and to where I am right now, having a little bit of a burnout, artistic burnout, but I'll get to that more towards the end of the video. Overall, I want to cover being too old. I decided in 2013 I was 26. I'm almost 40 now. So a lot of things have changed. Professionalism and being going from amateur to pro and the different mindset behind it. Fundamentals and drawing from imagination, something that I haven't dedicated myself enough and I didn't understand as well. And I want to really talk about that. Everything takes time and a lot of changes happen along the way. So I'll share some of those that happened for me. And I would love to hear in the comments some of the changes that happened throughout your life that impacted your journey as well. Let's collaborate and learn as a community. Connecting the dots, looking at everything that happened, a lot of things. I was getting opportunities here and there and bringing people together and those opportunities that were happening and understanding that everything was a little bit of connected throughout the years and the power of networking as well. Everything is related to the connection and the dots and everyone that helped me along the way, everyone that gave me opportunities, everyone that was a barrier to some of the things as well, and helped me go in a different direction. So a lot of things will happen throughout your career, and you react to them in different ways. There's a video here on the channel talking about different routes career can have in artistic career can have. At that time, I knew almost nothing from this, and it was harmful to my overall arc. Everything happens for a reason, so I learned from it, but I would do some things a little differently see if I knew everything that I shared in this video. I'll add the links to all videos and everything to the description. But let's get back to it and even zoom in a little bit. My journey started as most artists, drawing a lot from a young age. But one thing I didn't understand back then was that I wanted to copy a lot of things. Maybe I was afraid to make mistakes and my art wasn't as good as my copies. So I stayed within the copies. Later on, I would understand what that would mean for me as an artist and what I like. But back then, I think it was more of a fear thing. So I did a lot of copies from a young age, as I said, all the way to 2011 and 12 when I was around like 24, 25. I was still doing this, doing a lot of courses, digital painting, sculpting, digital sculpting in ZBrush, using a lot of references and getting better and better results, getting that photorealistic side that people tend to uh, say compliments and really like give you likes and all of that. But I wasn't doing a lot from imagination and putting my ideas out there, something that I still don't do. I still don't like that much. Since then, I understood that art is my way of experiencing the world through a different lens and not a way to express myself. Maybe I still need to go into that route and learn how to express myself better, but that's what I learned so far. But back then, I didn't understand this and it was pretty hard. I was doing a lot of these and getting all the praise, like beautiful drawings here and there, doing copies from artists like this is Ian McCaig, and doing plein air. This is from a friend's house that I sat there and with markers and did a little bit of. This is Shetty Safadi's tutorial on YouTube. I don't know if that's up. to today, but it was in 2013, 14. Uh, Studies from Howard Harold Speed, and doing a lot of this. So it got to a point where I was comfortable with the quality of what I was doing, and I wasn't comfortable with what was happening in my professional life. I didn't like what I was doing. I tried going into more of marketing, but more on an analytics way. I graduated in engineering, so I tended to go more to the analytics route. That will come back later as well. But I decided I need to start from ground up and do everything all over again. So I started my journey here in November 2013. I decided to quit and start it all over. Little did I know that all my journey towards becoming a better artist, understanding like fundamentals. I talked about this in a video here on the channel, how to hack your career, because I needed to reverse engineer a lot back then and learn to become more of an imagination artist, a creation artist, an illustrator, concept artist. So I did a lot of fundamentals. So studying like framed ink and once again copying more than applying and studying. But I did some from imagination here and there, and a lot of studies, Google Street View, paintings. And this is a frame from Indiana Jones. I love this painting to this day. It was great to find a frame and cut it in a different way. I really hope to get back to doing more of that because it was a super fun experience. I really enjoyed it. But then I started, like, as I said, a lot of fundamentals, going to uh, how to render, Scott Robertson, doing a lot of perspective. I shared this on my video on my journey and my sketchbooks on perspective. How to Draw is the Bible. I studied a lot from it. Eric Olson on New Masters Academy as well. I'll share a link to the book, to New Masters Academy as well here in the description. Doing still life copies and trying to apply that. This back in the day, I was trying to do something like an homage for THU. Trojan Horse was a unicorn, as an event that was just starting back in 2015 that I really wanted to go, and I was able to go in 2017, and we'll get to that. But at this point, I was already understanding that I enjoyed research and understanding what fundamentals are, how to learn them, more than to create my own thing. And I started writing about it. I have a blog in Brazilian Portuguese where I started sharing what I was learning, as well as bringing the community together, and really creating a learning environment for everyone together. This is when, from 2015 to 16, I started working as an illustrator and concept artist in a small game studio in Brazil. And I really got to experience what it was like to create artwork for a living, not live with art, but from my art. And that started a process of really understanding what my priorities are and what I want to do in the long term. I stayed 1 year in the studio, did a lot of things that never saw the light of day, and a lot of things that I'm actually not proud of and to show. So I don't have anything here. In 2016, then I left that studio and started a YouTube channel for that blog and that project. Started like creating more and more educational content. I was really, really comfortable with perspective and how to draw. So I started putting together a course based on the book. I reached out to Scott to use that as a textbook. Is this possible and everything, and created a whole course around that book. It was great. I learned a lot from that process and started teaching around 2016. Also, I was doing a little more drawing from imagination. So when I left the studio, I think taking the pressure out of myself, I started like getting better. It's a timing thing as well, so there is a little bit of a bias here. If I was getting better on my own, or if the pressure went out, but I was starting to enjoy what I was doing. I had an experience during this period, 2016 as well, to work on a series for Netflix. It was great to have my name on credits, but it really made me even more aware that the educational route was not for me. So I decided at that point that I wasn't going to do commercial art as a concept artist and illustrator going forward. And that was liberating on one side and very scary on the other side, because I needed to realize that everything that I did to that point, the change in my career, was a big like blank canvas once again, and I needed to understand if education was going to be a feasible route, if I was going to do like something different, if I was going to work in some other area and maybe have art as a hobby. So a lot of things started like boiling in my mind, trying to understand what's next. And during this time, I made this decision to go to CTN Expo, that is an animation convention in Los Angeles, to really experience. And this is one of three photos that we have here in this content. I'll get back to all of them, but it was to experience what the industry is, to really consolidate my decision and understand the school. So I visited Brainstorm School, I visited Art Center, College of Design. I also visited Blizzard. It was an amazing experience. I visited Riot and had lunch there. So knowing the campus, already creating content and understanding, am I going to like do this for a living, in what way? So it was really interesting to do this trip. During this time, I also did one of the images I'm most proud of from Imagination, that is this one. And god, it's almost 9 years ago, so it's sad to some extent. I still struggle with what like to do from Imagination, and what's the hierarchy of art, and but still look back to this, and it's very interesting to see. It was also the first time I went to a natural history museum, and that would have a big impact on who I am as an artist. Did a lot of studies, a lot of like traditional media, watercolor, markers, gouache. Went to uh, plein air courses and gatherings. This is in Cusco. I was studying a little bit of Nathan Falk's courses and trying to have get that like simple statement and all. Still doing imagination stuff, mostly as a way to consolidate myself as a teacher, and show that my skills can be translated in this as well. So this and even this Jeep is a little bit of a study, a little bit of an interpretation. This is from Imagination as well, looking at artists like Raphael Lacoste, Martin de Chambeau, and really inspired by Assassin's Creed Origins back in the day. So this is a long time ago. So experimenting a lot of different things, but already having realized that art making for a living was not what I was gonna do. In 2017, I had the opportunity to go to Trojan Horse Was a Unicorn. This was also another interesting experience to have a conversation with artists that were working in the industry, understand what they're doing, and understand how to bring that to my educational efforts more than, and a little bit of what I was missing. There is this dichotomy of making the decision, but a lot of what ifs that went with that. But I kept always drawing from Imagination, getting a little better here and there. If you compare what I was doing back in 2011 to 2017, there's a big gap. Of course, it's 6 years. I should have a gap there. But as I was mostly focusing on education and creating content than improving my art was still improving on the side as a parallel, doing a lot of things from life. This is a natural history museum in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. This is a monument in Sao Paulo. This is an aquarium here in Brazil as well. And doing more and more demos, more and more things based on dynamic sketching and using references. I was learning a lot from John Park and Foundation Group. I have a video here on 50 tutorials to learn concept art, drawing for concept art. I went through a lot of them back in the day and getting better and better. I'm super proud of the results of the line work that I have here. I have a video on the channel talking about this room and the process, and this one as well. This is more of a Mayan kind of thing that I should have added a little more values here to separate the planes. But I do like the busyness and a lot of details, and so, but the readability is not good because of this. So this is my artistic journey in a nutshell. Thank you if you stayed to this point and saw a little bit of that. If you skipped ahead and you're getting to this point right now, it's awesome as well because we're going to look back at some of the things that I learned. So, once again, I did a lot of observation early on, and I was really good at that, but I didn't understand how to apply that to a real world illustration concept art situation. I had to learn everything again once I quit. So 2014-15 was dedicated to fundamentals, getting better at composition, lighting, perspective, and so on. But I still didn't understand that I didn't like to do things from imagination, to create a lot of things. I still didn't have the realization, and here towards 2016 and 2018, I understood that the pencil, the pen, the intus, the every medium was a tool to look at the world differently and slow down and experience things and look at different artists. I've talked about art as a hobby here on the channel and my experiences as well. So I learned a lot from this, but it was really painful to understand that drawing from observation, from imagination, wasn't for me. I did a lot, once again, fundamentals and kept going until all the way to 2018. But I didn't focus on the creative aspects that I talked here on the channel, the creative spiral. I was more about structure, logic, technique, and the creative aspects of expression potentially, but looking, seeing the world differently, more than saying something with that. That's a difficult realization, but it was really helpful. My imagination art, as I mentioned, evolved slowly, but definitely evolved throughout the years to the point that we saw here. That I was way more comfortable, especially with line work, to say things. But I understood that I didn't want to say those things and to create. It has a little bit to do with my insecurities and like not having more of that creative aspect that I really need to work on at some point. But now I'm way more comfortable with how everything happened. So, what happened from like 2018 onwards? And that has a lot to do with connecting the dots. So, a lot of the teachers I was studying with that changed my life at that point, they played different roles in different times, and I started to understand what each and every one of those helped me along the way. I also made a lot of friends along this way. So a lot of friends helped me, a lot of connections when I was posting these kind of works, when I was doing more explorations and showing my work on fundamentals, discussing the fundamentals, especially through my blog. So and all those travels and the people that I met there, everything started to converge into the role that I took in 2019 when I entered the video game industry as a recruiter. Because I knew a lot of people, I was good with people, I organized a lot of content, and I knew how to share it and communicate that. I knew how to foster long-term relationships, build rapport with stakeholders from all different backgrounds, and everything connected to what I did from then onward until last year when I decided in 2024 to get back to education a bit and understand what's next. So I'm a little bit in that moment right now, trying to look back once again, connect all the dots, and understand what's next. I love to do this. I know I have a privilege of being able to do this. I create the environment also to do this, having my savings, having a safe cushion to make this kind of leap of faith, and to be able to reconnect with what I really want to do. I'm having the same trouble with my art. As I mentioned, I have an artistic burnout since 2019 when I changed career, because once I took out the urgency of becoming better and being good and showing the work so I could make a living, everything changed in terms of how and what I wanted to draw and everything. I've talked about this video here. I'm trying to look back and connect the dots as well on what I like drawing. And Ian McKay has the concept of the soul sketchbook to look at what makes you tick. And I'm trying to do that myself, even looking back at all the work, the observation work. There's a lot of work that isn't here that I haven't shared in this one, but I'm looking back at that and trying to understand what makes me tick. The Natural History Museum, taxidermy, drawing animals, something that I'm really passionate about. I'm trying to reconnect to that. It's hard because I still have a lot of anxiety towards drawing because I still need to prove something because I changed careers, and it has like a big toll, a big weight on my back that I still haven't been able to take out. If you have an experience similar to that and you can share, it would be great to help out. But I'm going in this direction as well. These are some of the studies I helped. I shared this on my video on drawing fish. This is helping a lot to reconnect a little bit and understand what I enjoy the most in terms of drawing. I still keep doing a little things here and there, but I'm slowly getting back to that mentality of doing a lot of observation works and experiencing the world and looking at beautiful things, looking at art history here on the channel. This is also part of this endeavor of looking at more art, looking at more beautiful art, following artists' journeys, learning about them, reading books on them and their curiosity and all. And this is part of the effort to get back to it. So just a big like looking back kind of thing. I think there isn't being too old, but the older you are, the more responsibilities you have, and the harder it will get. If you can't let yourself make mistakes and take the time needed, it will be very hard to start a new career in anything. So if you're looking back and thinking of all the what ifs that you should have done and all the shoulds and coulds that exist out there, you're gonna ask too much of yourself, and it's gonna be very hard on you, very anxiety driven. But I don't see there being too old as something that really exists. Like, this is not labor intensive. Potentially on your back, it will be so like stretch and strengthen your muscles and all of that and rest. But other than that, you don't need like very good reflex and all. You can start later, but there are different life circumstances that will take its toll and be take have a cost to be put in if you want to get there. That will take a lot of professionalism and understanding that you need to fail in order to get better. Understand if you focus too much on fundamentals or drawing from imagination. I have talked a lot about this in my video on art and drawing fundamentals. Please check that out if that's something that you are struggling with. I'm gonna get back to the topic in other videos as well. It takes time and a lot of changes will happen along the way, so be prepared for those, but be open to opportunities and the people that come along the way. Here in the channel, I'm starting to get to know some of you, and you're commenting constantly, and I'm getting to know your stories. all like my art friends and the people, the teachers I had throughout my life, they are still super important in my life. And you will have yours. You have your art friends, you have your idols, your teachers, and so on. So cherish them, and really enjoy every moment, and look out for those opportunities that will come your way. So yeah, thanks if you got to this point. If you have this kind of interest in my journey, I would love to hear yours as well. What you're struggling with, what changes you might have come across your way, and we can all learn from each other. Once again, it was great to share this with all of you. I hope to see you in other videos, and I hope you have a great day.